Okay, butterflies, just to remind you about this book, we have A, B, and C. So we're doing A, I'm reading that to you about all the S words, and I read my theory. B, we're not going to read. Those are personal stories from people who have chronic illness. You can get the book if you want to read their stories, but we are going to do C, Path of Life Journal. We're going to do it in this video. So if you noticed, that was a little girl looking at herself when in the future, and when she was wondering what was down her path of life. So here is C. The utmost challenge in life is you, yourself. Now, to visualize is to create a blueprint in your mind. It's rather ironic how someone who thinks of self as a perfectionist is the least likely to become anywhere near perfect, because the process of becoming better and progressing towards any form of perfection involves many failures and many less than perfect activities and practices that bring us closer to our goal. And a perfectionist cannot bear these steps that must be taken to grow. Any setbacks that are less than perfect bring the perfectionist too low for their ego and pride, and they use a host of excuses to cease trying. When you use this blessing journal, you will not struggle with what others may think about you, because you know who you are each day and as you use this along the path of life. Just think about what I just said for a minute. These are very basic things, but they're very, very effective. Now, you're a child of God. That's the utmost thing. Create balance. So you have a daily schedule. Write down your short and long-term goals here each new year. Then you have your monthly goals. And that's where we talk about the blessing journal. The blessing journal is a record of the things in your life that are positive and important to you. Also a way to reconstruct your view of yourself. We often forget many things, even those things that happened last week. So we must replace the negative space in our minds with positive thoughts, so there's no room for negative. And you know what? In all of our lives, there is enough positive things that happen to us that can replace and use up all the room, so there won't be negative space. Also, as we grow in age, things change, and we may get stuck in a certain pattern of thinking as to what we think is normal and our expectations in areas of our lives. So in order to be happy, we need to get over those blocks in thinking. And it's a major change when you graduate from high school. It's a shock. That's especially when we need to have a different frame of mind. In order to be happy, we need to get over those blocks in thinking and decide for oneself what will make me fulfilled in my life now, starting where you are in your lifespan. So you got to create this new life, almost a new self after grad. So do not record the negative things, only parts of struggles and how you overcame them, but otherwise all things you are happy about. I found that I always threw away my journal if I had written things I didn't want others to see. So this way you are going to get your self-worth internally and not from external input. And it will be a good foundation, so you have set your expectations for yourself to build on. So briefly record how challenges were overcome. Blessings come in all shapes and sizes. It may be a blessing for someone just to wake up in a better mood, even to not have stepped on a ladybug, to having a heart transplant, or significant events like marriages, baptisms, answered prayers. So your journal is your truth. Create a positive one. The power of positive thinking brings self-esteem. which gives one courage to go out and do things that bring more self-esteem. So here's an example. Just get yourself a beautiful, beautiful journal book. And start this way. Put your age, place you're living, month, and year. Now, blessing journals are good to have your heartfelt monthly message at the top. So you can write it right in here. Your scripture verse or your quote or something you learned or something you learned. And then you start every one with blessed to. It will be also a personal history when you start from birth to 20 and so on. Birth to 20, 20 to 30 each decade. 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80. So this is going to be your personal history book. And how better to write than to write all the good stuff. Now, so a blessing journal can do so many things for you. It can turn into your personal history if you do it this way, starting from birth to 20. So up here would be birth to 20 and blessed to be born, be born in a beautiful town or whatever it is, and talk about even your grandparents. Anything that you feel you were blessed. You can even mention some of your grandparents' history or your parents. So then age 20 to 30, age 30 to 40, and so on. Birth to 20, age 20 to 30. So then after you catch up to where you are, then you can start doing it month by month. So you would start with your month. And so each month you would put what blessings you felt that you had. And each month you could put a verse or a quote or something special you want to say. And you can put like milestones in there that you've accomplished, schooling, certificates, even from your children, because they want to look in this book later on, and then they want to see themselves, something about themselves. You can write down their traits and talents. Put your traits, hobbies, all kinds of stuff in your blessing journal. This is to create the new view of yourself.